Welcome to the MS Gym podcast, where we give you the tools to live life by design, not by diagnosis. I'm your host, Brooke Slick, and here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last podcast episode of 2020. Even though it's been a crazy upside-down year, there's been so much to celebrate inside the MS Gym. From member victories to the 3-year anniversary of the MS Gym, there have been more and more people with MS jumping on the neuroplasticity train and living life by design, not by diagnosis. Today, I sat down with Ken Allen, Trevor's right-hand man and guiding force within the MS Gym, to get an inside look at what makes the MS Gym tick behind the scenes and what changes we have to look forward to in 2021. We talk about everything from what differentiates membership content from free content, to membership cost, to the exciting new options that are going to be heading your way in 2021 as their business model evolves. So get comfy, grab a cup of coffee, or maybe some hot cocoa, and get motivated about what lies ahead for you inside the MS Gym. Hi, Ken. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you today?
My pleasure. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Is it sunny in Florida?
Yes. You want to see? I know our listeners can't see this, but there's a little view for you.
It's snowing in Pennsylvania, but yeah. So Ken, I've already mentioned in the intro that you are Trevor's right-hand man. What is your exact title?
Well, it's funny. Trevor and I are not exactly conventional business people. so we call each other, we make up names. I self-appointed myself the CEO, but not the traditional chief executive officer. I call myself the chief encouragement officer. So when I sign off on my emails, when people email me, I write chief encouragement in bold and capital officer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But what are you really, Ken? Okay, so you're chief encouragement officer, but I know you have your hands in everything behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Give me some of the pieces of that everything.
Sure. Well, there's 6 main things that I do. I'm really proud of these things because it's one thing that's really important that I want to hammer home is I understand that within the MS community, there is a lot of financial hardship for some people, okay? And that's something that's in the MS community. That's something that's in the world right now. And obviously, this year has been unlike any other with the pandemic. So there's just a lot of people hurting, period. You have small business owners getting shuttered, right? Restaurants, the restaurant business is getting decimated. A lot of industries I have seen since this pandemic, it's sort of like there's 2 economies. The big company, there are big companies in certain industries like technology, making record profits. Okay, and then you have other industries that are just hanging on, just barely surviving. So yeah, it's been interesting to see that. But you know, I do struggle sometimes, and I'm being honest with you, with the whole financial thing, because I get a lot of people emailing me, telling me their life story, and unfortunately, they share, that they're going through a very tough time financially. So I've always struggled with that a little because I want to help everybody.
Right.
Which is why we do give so much free content. Okay.
Right.
And so, but here's the thing. To me, it is super important that we are healthy fiscally. Okay. Because for us to have that longer term impact, okay, both for people who may never purchase anything from us and to serve our existing members or anyone who does a one-time product, which I'll get into later. For us to be fiscally healthy, for me to be able to have a financial assistance program, for us to continue to invest in good technology, because technology, is changing at lightning speed.
Right.
So for us to invest in whatever staffing needs we need going forward. Trevor's education. Okay, he spends a lot of money, as you know, staying up to date on
Yes.
Okay.
He's cutting edge.
Mm-hmm. and then just the normal everyday business expenses that every business has.
Right.
There's a laundry list, but I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the things that are super important to us. And um, we have a big mission going forward. We're 3 years now in, and a lot of those projects that we want to undertake, honestly, are going to require some capital.
Right.
When we launched this, we bootstrapped it, but so it's really important that we are healthy fiscally, um, so that we can also serve our members better. If we're worried, if Trevor's attention is on how we're going to pay our bills next month, and
Right.
or we just got to, launch a new program because we're worried about revenue coming in.
Right.
He can't stay in his lane and just focus on serving people, which is what he needs to do, and creating new programs and content. And as you know, from being in the group each day, answering people's questions. Plus, we have the office hours. There's a lot that he does. I need Trevor to stay focused on his expertise.
Right.
So what I really focus on is, as I said, getting back to those 6 main points. Okay, number one is marketing. Okay, because if you're not marketing, right, if no one knows about you,
exactly.
Okay, so while at this point, 3 years in, we have a lot. We've really, the community has really grown tremendously. It is still important to find new people. There are new people searching who have never heard of the MS Gym. It's a big world out there. There are people diagnosed every day with MS, as you know. So a big part of what I do, again, is marketing. And that's really how we started. Trevor, when I met Trevor, which I'll get into, he had this big vision. I'm like, slow down, dude. I'm like, we have to put it out there first.
Can't imagine that first meeting, Trevor. Woo! Wow, guys, slow her down.
So we can talk about that later. But yeah, the first step was marketing. If we did not get our name out there, and Trevor showed people and shared his expertise, which that's all marketing is, then no one would have known about us, and we couldn't be here talking today. So marketing is always a big part. Okay, and then the other part is qualifying people. Okay, and qualifying and marketing can go hand in hand. Okay.
And when you say qualifying, you mean qualifying, are you talking about the private membership, the paid membership?
Well, I'm just qualifying, period. So let me explain what I mean. So every business has to qualify. Okay. So if I sold, right? If I sold you, let's just say, let me give you a couple of different examples, right? If I go in for to a Mercedes-Benz dealership right now, they have to qualify me. Okay. That could be as simple as, me filling out a credit application, because, right? Because they could promise me one price, but if my credit score is really low, they're not going to be able to give it to me at that price. They have to qualify me, okay? They have to make sure I can actually afford it. I'm not just there browsing. Like, how serious am I? Am I just browsing a lot of dealerships? So that's qualifying. If I had a high ticket service, let's just say, I would have to qualify. If my service was $10,000, whatever it was, it could be a financial services, it could be anything. And we set up a phone call, and you and I were talking. I'd have to make sure you can afford my service, because why have 3 conversations, Brooke? Right?
Yeah.
For you to just say, "Ken, your price is too high." Like, that's just way out of my league. Well, you just wasted my time, and I just wasted yours. So that's all I mean by qualifying. And to me, as far as the MS Gym, it's the qualifying process is it's not just, can someone afford a paid membership, but is this even right for you? Okay, so that's done for us. That's why I say sometimes it goes hand in hand with marketing, because we put out so much free content, that's part of our qualifying process. Does Trevor resonate with you as a person, as a human being? Certain people click, some don't, as you know.
Right.
Some, he may not be someone's style. Like, I've had people say he's just too loud. He's too energetic. well, well, other people absolutely adore and love his passion and energy. So
Right.
that's quality, right? Um, you know, are you someone that's willing to try working out online, even if you never have before? That's qualifying. If you're not willing to do that, we're probably not going to be a good fit for you. You have to have at least an open enough mind to say, I've never done this before. I'm not sure if an MS specific online program can help me, but I'm willing to listen to what Trevor has to say, follow along, and see if it could help. So that's qualifying. If someone's not in that state of mind, we're never going to get to the next stage in the relationship. I mean, it's like dating. You have
Yeah.
this step, right? so, so that's what I mean by qualifying. Those are all qualifying things. If I could give more examples, but my point is there are little things that have to kind of be met before someone. It's
Behind the
like passing.
scenes.
Yeah, it's like you have a red light, and let's get that green light to go to the next step, and
Right.
next step, and next step, and that can go as far as it wants. Um, Pre-pandemic, we were going to have a summit with lots of people in person. But
Yes.
when I say lots of steps, those were for people who really had a lot of trust with us, had a lot of connections with other members, wanted to meet and have a gathering. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But my point is, there's many steps in the relationship, and there's a lot of qualifying things to get us there. So that's what I mean by qualifying. And it looks different for every business, but every business has some kind of qualifying process, even if it's built into their marketing.
And you are the qualifier.
Yeah, well, for our business, a lot of it, I've built it in so that a lot of it is built into our market. It's
Right.
not, if it was a more exclusive, like if it was more of a $3,000 item, like
Right.
like HSCT is like what, $50,000, right? Like that,
Yeah. Yeah, it
right?
is.
Right? But if I was selling a service even in the range anything more than $1,000, there'd probably be a call. There'd probably be some type of actual phone call.
Right.
We don't necessarily have to do that. Okay, we give enough of a sample usually that we can, between a free content and between email communication, and or we sometimes people private message us on our Facebook Messenger account. There's different technology today, obviously, but we can answer a lot of questions through that. So that but that's what I mean by qualifying. And then the third thing is sales. Okay, so you got to attract people, you've got to qualify, and you've got to sell. And I'm not ashamed to say that there are some people afraid of sales. I was for a big part of my life.
Yeah.
But again, coming back to earlier in our conversation, the sales is a company can't exist if they don't make sales.
Right.
That's pretty straightforward, and that's true of private or nonprofit. Okay, even a nonprofit has to stay in business, right? If they have 10 employees, they may have to produce a profit, but they got to pay their employees.
Right.
They have overhead, whether that's physical location or technology overhead. They've still got to make sure. So a nonprofit still needs to either do a ton of fundraising, which we know they do, which is another form of sales. It's just
Yeah.
asking for money for a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or some nonprofits actually do have programs that they just, for example, a YMCA or a Jewish community center, they still have exercise programs usually. You still have to pay for them. Typically, they're a little less than you would get, from a private gym. But many nonprofits have different types of programs that they're not strictly fundraising. It's just part of it. But my point is, every single organization you cannot survive unless you have sales. You can't survive as a company. So that's a big part of what I do. And again, I think if you have good marketing in place, the sales process is much smoother.
Right.
Because if I'm giving people a good experience through from the minute they opt in for an exercise guide, okay, change their email for an exercise guide, or any of the different, we've done webinars, but I'm just giving the exercise guides as one example. The emails that they get, the content that they consume, that's all the experience of feeling like, is the MS Gym legit? Is
Yeah.
Trevor legit? Does he know his stuff? If all of that, that if all of that works well and is a good fit, then the sales process is easy. It's not, there's no friction. There's no like the hard call. A lot of people have the image of the car business in their head from years ago. The pushy. It was like they would push
Yes.
you right into their sales.
Right.
I had to make the sale. Like
Yeah.
in the car industry, it was always don't let them leave the lot because you might not get them
Right.
back.
Right.
Sales managers would talk to right. Don't let them leave. So you
Right.
had to push for that sale, whether it was right or not. I don't believe in that. I think that's very aggressive, and that's why sales to some people have a bad name, and that's why many salespeople are uncomfortable because they were trained to push the sale no matter what, even if it wasn't a good fit. I don't do that. I meet people where they're at, and we give a good experience. And if someone's ready to go further and deeper and buy a paid product or the membership with us, great. If not, that's okay too. We have tons of free stuff that you can still get value out of, or maybe the timing is just not right, and they'll be ready in 3 months or 6 months. But that's important. So it's important to do it the right way. I'm not going to please everybody. I'm sure there's some people that say, well, Ken, you guys send a ton of emails, and what I consider a friendly invite may seem aggressive to someone else, but again, that's not what I'm doing. I'm putting out there what we have to offer, what the MSGym has to offer, and I want people to make the best decision that they can for themselves. Because they are investing money if they take that next step to a paid product, or eventually our membership. So I'm in charge of pretty much the sales process. And then the next thing, which I consider very important, is multiplying. Okay, so having more as a business, it's important that we have more than just one product or service. Okay, and the first 3 years now, our primary bread and butter is the membership. Okay, and I think it was really important to stay focused on doing it well, staying laser focused on one avenue rather than spread ourselves too thin. But over time, now that we're past that early stage, it's really important to have. It's very hard for any organization to just have one product long term. There are some that can do it, but having a suite of products, okay, both free and paid, is very important, and that's because we can offer more things to people. So if I have just a foot drop program, and that's all someone wants right now, they're not ready for the membership. It's important we have that.
Yeah.
Some people want to hear from other experts. That's why it's important that we did a virtual summit over the summer. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an example that was a free offering and a paid, right? But that's an example of two other products, right? It's important to me that we diversify and have other offerings, and that takes time and energy to create other products. So we're in that. We have more than one now, but going forward, that's a big part of what we're doing, so that we can have even more to offer people. I don't want it to just be, again, where it's just free or membership. I want people to have different paths that they can take.
Right.
And I want to put out different experiences, kind of like what we did this summer with Virtual Summit that you were a huge part of as the host. So it really is, again, focusing on the whole picture. That's what, rather than just the membership, which is still going to be our hub and probably the most important piece of our business. But it's important to have the other things. That's why we have a podcast like we're talking now.
Right. Because you never know. I mean, there can be 5, 10 different avenues to membership, or 5 or 10 different avenues to get somebody to the YouTube page or Instagram, or and backwards as well from Instagram to, so it's like an octopus, all leading back to the body.
And then, so there's 2 more. I'll go through them real quick. So the other is keep, what I call keep, which is simply keeping our members happy.
Right. Okay? Retention.
Yeah. It's really important that we, like I said, I started with marketing, but again, we could have the best marketing in the world. If our members are not happy and they're leaving, eventually the business will fail.
Right.
You can only bring in so many new members. Like if you go spiraling because you're not providing a good experience to members and they're leaving in droves, that's not a place you want to be in.
Yeah.
Eventually, like I said, to me, the most important thing is, and I know we can't please everybody. We do lose members. It happened. There's no business in the world who doesn't lose members.
Right.
But to me, again, keeping our members long term is the most important thing. Because so there's a lot in there. So there's customer service. How do we do customer service?
Right.
How do we give a good experience? And there's a lot that comes with that. But that is something that I'm always keeping my eye on, paying attention to. And it's kind of fun for me because not only do I truly care, but I've built relationships with a lot of MS Gymmers. They're friends now. And so it's cool. You know, I just want to make sure people are happy getting what they need, you know, and even if they're frustrated, because MS could be really frustrating. We can't solve everybody's problem.
Right.
So I don't mean happy in that context, but they're happy with the MS Gym.
They're satisfied with what they're getting.
Yeah, that we're meeting their expectations and what they're getting. It's so important. And then the last one is what I call reactivate, okay? Which is members who have left, reaching out to them, which I do every couple months through email. And just seeing how they're just sending an email saying how you're doing, we miss you. And, you know, for whatever reason you may have left the timing. Some people leave not because they're completely unhappy. It could be, there's a lot of reasons. Sometimes they're upset with themselves. They invested in a program and they didn't use it. They didn't. There's all kinds of reasons. So I like to reach out to people, and you'd be surprised. Every month, every time I do this, a lot of people are like, oh, thank you. I'm glad you reached out. Yep. Wasn't the right time for me then. That's why I left. I had all this on my plate or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm ready. I know I'm ready to get back in. I'm ready. I want to exercise. I know the program's good. I want to recommit, and they join. So those are the 6 things. There's a lot that goes into all that, but behind the scenes, that's kind of what I'm looking at from a macro picture.
And I think there's something that you didn't directly address, but it's kind of woven in through everything that you do, and that's the technology.
Yeah.
Like the podcast page didn't just magically appear, and I didn't create it. It was created before I came along. The MS Gym website there wasn't some website fairy that came along. And same with the Instagram and same with the Facebook group. You created all of those.
Yes and no. So I'm involved in the day-to-day systems of how everything runs. Okay.
Okay.
So, and that very much means the technology. But I am not a tech wizard. I am not a coder. Like I don't do coding.
Right.
So I just want to make that distinction because one of the things, and this is a blessing for small business owners like us, that's happened with modern technology is that there are companies now whose software has made it easy enough for someone like me, who again is not a true coder, okay?
Right.
I wasn't one of these guys in Silicon Valley, right? But they've made it easy enough that if you're somewhat tech savvy, okay, I'm not saying anyone could do this, but you have to. If you're somewhat tech savvy, if you're willing to put the time in and learn the skills, you can learn it. There's a lot of templated stuff.
Yes.
To create really cool pages, and that's why we have a really cool membership site, because there are these cool software companies. One of them we use is called Kajabi.
Yes.
It just, again, makes it a really user-friendly experience for the users, but also on the business side, for the business owners using them, they've made our lives easier. 10, 15 years ago, to create the MS Gym, I would have had to either learn coding myself or go out and spend $100,000 to build what we have now. And honestly, it wouldn't have happened. Trevor didn't have that kind of capital to invest at the time I met him. So thank God I knew that we had these types of technology tools that made it a lot easier, I should say.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, here's a question for you. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a crazy year,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the MS Gym still has a lot to celebrate as far as I'm concerned. For instance, you mentioned earlier that this is our 3-year anniversary. In May was the MS Gym as a whole, and then this month was the 3-year. Did I say 3 month? I meant 3-year. 3-year anniversary of the actual paid for membership. And I would imagine, now this is me just guessing, I would imagine, especially during a pandemic, when everybody's locked down and nobody can go to a gym or anywhere public for that matter, for exercise or rehabilitation, or at least they can't safely go or not without some level of concern. That's what the MS Gym is. It's built for that. It's like
Yeah.
pandemic proof kind of community and exercises. And like, have you seen a lot of people reaching out that maybe wouldn't have because of the pandemic?
Yes. I mean, we are fortunate that the pandemic, again, coming back to earlier in the conversation, we are on the side of the pandemic that it's helped our business.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, I should say that we had the positive momentum and trajectory anyway, even if the pandemic is not an issue, because there's a couple of reasons for that. So the pandemic has accelerated, definitely. We had more interest, but it was really pretty high to begin with. So there are a lot of people who, especially in the MS community, really didn't love the idea of going to a gym 5 days a week anyway.
Right.
Okay? So they loved the idea of doing the exercises from home
Whenever they want.
even before the pandemic. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you throw in the pandemic and everything's pretty much shut down or struggling to reopen, or and it definitely raised interest. We had more people seeking different solutions.
Yeah.
But again, even if someone can go to a gym, let's just say twice a week, or a physical therapist, okay, or occupational therapist, whatever. Which, by the way, if someone can see someone in person once or twice a week, whether they're coming to your home, but a physical, we don't dissuade that. It's not like you're picking between in person and virtual.
You're not replacing one for the other.
No, if you can see someone once or twice a week, great. That's fantastic. And Trevor will tell you this too. There's nothing like hands-on, one-on-one. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and this was even before the pandemic, the reality is most people cannot see someone 5 days a week or 6 days a week, which is and so the reason we've had better results than Trevor ever had with his in-person clients, okay, which, just think about that. That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
The reason is because they go to Trevor once a week or twice a week, whatever they can get in, again. And sometimes there's insurance issues and all that.
Right.
There's a lot but even if someone was a non-insurance person and paid cash, had the money wasn't an issue for them. Realistically, again, sometimes there's weather, travel issues. There's a million reasons.
Right.
It's hard to get in to see someone more than twice a week. So on those other days that they were not with Trevor, or with anyone, if they're seeing, right, they didn't know what to do. It was difficult for them to do program great when they're there one-on-one with Trevor, so it filled that gap to begin with. Like, Trevor wanted to have created this years ago, even for his in-person clients, to have on the days that they couldn't see him. But certainly if you're not able to see a PT, MS Gym, we believe we created something that, and we say we believe because this is what people tell us, that can meet that need, whether you're seeing a PT or not. There will be things that come up that every so often where it's a good idea to get checked by a medical, in person.
Right. So a medical professional.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to start diagnosing stuff online. We can't do it. So, but in terms of just getting the exercises that you need, like we've built the program that everyone can follow every day and exactly what they need.
And that's the thing. I think it's important to mention it's not just exercise. It's a movement program.
Mm-hmm.
So, and within that, of course, movement equals exercise. But people aren't going to be like lifting weights, and when you think of going to a gym and exercising, it's one thing. These
There
are
will be
what.
strength training coming, right? But
Yes.
that's actually something new that we're going to be adding a little more. We have band resistance, but we're going to be adding some.
And we definitely need to talk about what's new. But I want to, if you don't mind, let's just assume that somebody listening is brand new, and they're not sure. So wait, what's the paid part? What's the free part? Well, the MS Gym started out, and it continues to this day to be the largest provider of free online MS movement meds. Movement meds is what we always refer to it, of any other online source. We're the largest of free information. So fine. The YouTube channel is just like crazy, like there's crazy good stuff in there. There's the YouTube channel, there's the website, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, okay? All of that. Free, 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 free. Then you have the paid membership. I want you to give people an idea what sets the paid membership apart from the plethora of free online information available. Basically, why would anybody pay to be part of the membership when there's so much free information out there? What's the difference?
So the difference is, okay, and you mentioned a lot of our free platforms, okay? We also do a lot of free stuff by email opt-in. Again, an exercise spasticity guide, a foot drop guide,
right,
neck pain guide, or we have webinars.
Yes.
We even have free movement programs. So it's beyond just the social channels. But the difference really is that, as you know, social media is very noisy.
Yes, yes.
So it's not that the content is worse, better on that we share on social. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Trevor doesn't hold back stuff.
It's not of less quality.
Right. The quality that we put out for free is amazing. It's not a structured program.
Right.
And some of that is not even our fault. Even when we want to make it a little more structured, Facebook changes its algorithm, or Instagram changes the algorithm, or YouTube changes the layout on its page. There's so many things. Again, we don't own those platforms.
Right.
We're blessed that there are platforms like that to get our information out there, or get our content out there.
Yeah.
But we don't own those platforms. So
they could be gone tomorrow.
They could be gone tomorrow. Absolutely. So to just rely on those, you can get some great information. If you want to get a sampling of, again, what Trevor's about.
Right. Get a taste of what the MS Gym really is, what they really provide, like what their vibe is. What's the vibe of this thing?
Right. And see Trevor's expertise.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
In the world of what he's doing. To understand that people don't even understand what neuroplasticity is. They don't understand. There's things that he provides from an educational point of view. I mean, we've had so many people say, I never knew this. Why didn't a neurologist ever tell me?
Right.
No one ever, I wish someone shared this with me when I was diagnosed. He gets it. Like,
yes.
So that all exists and you can consume that for free. But if you want a program to follow each day where you don't have to think about, okay, which YouTube channel, we have over 50 trainings on the YouTube.
To piece it all together, it would be
free. And what do I do tomorrow? And I know I got foot drop. I'm having my spasticity is getting worse, or got some neck pain too. It's very hard for someone to figure all that out on their own.
You need a dedicated, all-in-one spot program to follow from beginning to end and every step in between.
Right. So that's what the membership offers. It has specific programs that you just come in and press play every day. And eventually, as you go through it, you get assessments and it tells you where to go next. So you know which
Yeah.
program is for you next. We have seated version and standing version of every one of our programs.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, we have so those are some important distinctions between free and membership. You also have special programs in the membership. So like we have a life skills program. So if you
Yes,
want
I
to learn
love the life skills program.
how to climb the stairs, how to get off the floor, how to snow shovel,
Yes.
anything.
Yes. How to use a walker or trekking poles or arm
Most
crutches.
people don't even know the proper way to
Everyday
start
things
properly.
that people with MS like me deal with every day, but you're like, I need help. I need help here just with getting in and out of your car.
How to drive again. There are people who stopped driving for 5, 6 years. We have driving again. I mean, these are real people, because you see
Real success stories, and I have seen them. It's no joke. Like, it's people are making huge strides in these programs. And I think what I always love to see, there are people who never in a million years they thought they'd be able to do X, Y, or Z again. And anytime I read those in the private group, it just warms my heart. I think, what a great day. What a great day for that person who is gaining their independence because of following a program or one of these life skills or all the other many things that are part of the paid membership. It's changed their lives, and they never thought they'd be able to do it. And that's one good thing that Trevor's fantastic about. He always believes. He knows that you can do it, and he gets very angry when he hears that a neurologist or any doctor has told one of the members, well, you're likely not going to be able to do whatever again. Well, that just sets him off.
Oh yeah, because he's seen it, not just in our 3 years of membership. And I really wish people could be in our private group. I can't let them in if they're not in membership to see some of these types of testimonies because they wouldn't believe it. Like you've seen, Brooke, how amazing.
Yes, hundreds of them.
As much as I try to share in the marketing, but I can't. I'm not going to send someone to a page of 1,000 testimonials.
Right.
That would overwhelm them. But I share a lot. But every day we are getting amazing victories and stories of people in their life and doing things that they never thought they could do again.
And sometimes there are people who just started, who are just trying one little program, one little thing. And sometimes it might be somebody who's been in the membership for 2 years, and after doing whatever program they've been doing, they wake up one day, and on that particular day, something that they were not able to do before, now they can. Because everybody's at a different level of disability, and everybody is dealing with a different level of progression, a different type of MS. So all the results are different. All the timing is different. So you might see instant, but that's what these programs are, a lifetime thing. There's something to stick with. They're a way of life. And like the gains that people are
coming back. Sorry,
no, that's okay. I'm sorry. I went on a little rant there.
I like to rant too, so it's all good. That's why we gel, right? So anyway, going to answer your question of why Trevor has faith and believes, and there's a lot of negativity out there, right? From whether it be someone's neurologist or a therapist that they went to see, whatever the narrative is, that if you're listening to this right now, you know what I'm talking about. The reason is because not only has he seen it from these 3 years of growing the MS gym, but again, he's experienced this working with his clients for close to 20 years. Again, he's been doing this a long time, and we mostly focus on MS with the MS gym, okay? But although we do have a lot of different other diagnoses in the MS gym, but when he was in a more traditional brick and mortar setting, he was dealing with stroke patients.
Yeah.
Parkinson's, like my dad, which is one of the things that connected Trevor and I. Some really serious traumatic brain injuries, okay? I could go on, but you get the point. When I say he's seen it all, he has. So when people come to him with I'm too far gone, Trevor's not going to accept that.
Right.
He's seen amazing turnarounds, amazing recoveries. And so And so that's where it comes from. That's a big part of where it comes from. They're not just empty words. And I am glad to see that finally, we have a long way to go, but the MS community is turning around. I'm not seeing as much negativity from the new generation of neurologists. Like we had Dr. Mitzi on the podcast,
yes.
right? She was an amazing example, okay, of what you would want in a neurologist, right? Like,
yes. Yes.
I'm seeing more and more good people not only getting into the field, but they're embracing different things
they're looking at things differently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
they're breaking away from the norm, from the tradition of their forefathers in the medical profession. And,
Yes. So the narrative is changing, and there's just so much research. It's obviously having the right exercise program and the diet really can help tremendously. There's just a lot of different things. Obviously, HSCT we know is something that can help some people. We won't go there right now, but
there's plenty of that on there.
yeah, but again, there's a lot of different new research. There's a lot of things on the horizon.
Well, tell me this.
I feel hopeful. I feel more hopeful for the MS community than I did when I started this. Let's put it that way.
I do too, and I've been in it a long time. I was been in it before the MS gym, and it's amazing how the last 20 years how things are. Now there's drugs left and right, and remyelination drugs on the pike, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to kind of cut to the chase here. I want to know. Well, first of all, something I skipped over. We keep talking about the paid for membership,
Cool.
What's the cost of the paid for membership?
Well, right now the cost is $420 for an annual.
An annual membership, but
$282 for semi-annual.
That's 2 times a year.
Right.
Okay.
So that is like, because if you just went to our registration page right now, that's what you would see.
Okay.
However, I do for if someone prefers a monthly plan.
Yes.
Okay. Because the annual, the 420 comes out to $35 a month, but there are times of the year I do offer a special where we offer to pay a monthly payment plan. So there's that. So you can pay the 420 spread out over 12 months, monthly, $35 a month, which is a great deal for everything we're giving. You're getting access to Trevor as well. You know how active he is in the community.
Yeah. And
you're getting a great community, which we didn't even talk about yet. There's so much we can cover. You may have to chop this into a 2-part interview.
I know.
And honestly, I don't always like to say this because I'm going to say it anyway. If someone's really having a tough time with money, we have a financial assistance program. I'll help them out. The reason I don't like to say it, but I did right now, is because I like someone to try the program first.
Yeah.
I don't just give someone a huge discount.
Like a trial.
Right. If a member comes to me and says, and I know that member values what we do and is going to use it and is falling on hard times, I'm more willing to work with that person than someone out of the gate who just says, I'm not willing to make an investment or spend.
Right.
Because they don't know what they're not, so
but people can pay yearly, people can pay twice a year, or people can pay monthly.
Yeah. Right.
In general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. Can you tell us, because this is important, and I know you guys have been working on some things, what can members look forward to in 2021? What's new? Give us spill the tea, Ken, spill the tea.
Well, so a few big things. Number one, we are actually, and I don't know the timing of when this will be released, this episode. So
it'll be released the Christmas week, maybe like Christmas Eve-ish.
Okay, so right around that time, and maybe a few days after, or maybe I'll maybe announce it already. We are actually going to change our business model a little bit in terms of how we enroll people into the members.
Okay?
And there's a few reasons we're doing this. So we're going to have right now, the first 3 years we had what I call open enrollment, meaning you can come to our registration page 24, 24/7, 365 days a year, and sign up for the MS Gym membership. And we are actually going to change that. We're going to have different enrollment periods versus just always being open. Okay.
Okay.
And there's a few reasons that we're doing this. Number one is we're going to, as I mentioned earlier, having that suite of product, right? Having not just a membership. So we're going to have more offerings. We're going to have a 90-day program. We're going to have a 30-day program. We're going to have symptom-specific programs like starter. So we're going to be giving people a really good taste of what it's like to do a structured program and the program that they want to do through a lot of these other offerings, so that they will have a really good idea when they get to the end of the program. Is the membership right for me? Is it not?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we will be typically offering membership at the end of these programs that we're offering.
Okay.
No, yes, I want this. I love this program. It's for me, or maybe not, or maybe I'm just not ready yet, or, and they can do a different program. So it will help as far as getting people into the membership who really understand what they're getting. Okay?
What they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If someone's going to make the investment, I want them to be confident in what they're getting.
I love that.
Okay. And so by doing, so that's going to help. Now, but by also doing that, by not selling it 24/7, okay, we're actually taking money off the table, and we're okay with that. So that we'll have less people coming in. And the reason we're doing that, okay, is again, one, I just shared with you, I want them to have tried something first, tried one of our paid programs first. The other is we want to keep the membership small and find the right people and the right fit, because Trevor's still only one person. We can't clone him, okay?
Right.
And we've grown a really intimate community, okay, which we haven't really talked about as much, but the community is a big part of what we do. Customer service is a big part of what we do. And I just think the membership has reached a point where, in its current form, again, with Trevor doing the live trainings in our MOC, which we could talk about, him getting in there, answering people's questions, Karen Stenhouse, who helped a lot with the technical side of things, answering questions. The office hours is a place that people can ask questions privately. So all of these features, I'll be quite honest, they're not built to scale the MS Gym to 10,000 members.
Yeah.
Like the way Netflix was built to scale, right? It doesn't matter, right? If your favorite show is, if you love Breaking Bad, right? I'm just thinking that one for example. I have a series I binge watched. Thousands of people could be binging Breaking Bad at the same time. It doesn't, and we get the same value out of it, right?
Right.
The MS Gym, honestly, it's not built to scale that way. There is a personalized, customized aspect to it, as well as the community aspect. And I think that we've reached the number that I think that we wanted to in terms of that. So, to me, so we just made a decision, again, taking money off the table, which I'm okay with, because it's the right thing to do. It's about finding the right fit, finding people who value what we have, and continuing to provide that awesome experience. And
so Ken, how many members are there currently?
We're a little under 2,000 right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of growth in 3 years. We started with zero.
I know you. Yeah, I want to say. Well, this was before the paid membership. I forget what number I was, but I don't know, it was in May 3 years ago. So yeah there were 100 or so members.
And that free Facebook group, which is how it all started.
Yes.
It's almost like about 25,000 members. So
yeah, like that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the membership group is a niche of a niche.
Right. Well, I did. I saw a big need when I first the first time I ever spoke to Trevor. And again, I felt connected to his content, I think, because seeing my dad struggles the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, when I had spoken to Trevor, we didn't even know it would be called the MS Gym. Again, I was looking at him as a medical practitioner,
I
medical fitness
see.
practitioner. Okay, because and
Who
we had
specialized in neuroplasticity.
yes, but he was working with athletes with brain damage. He was working with Parkinson's people like my dad,
Right.
all kinds of Hashimoto's. Okay? MS was his near and dear to him for reasons he shared. Okay,
Yeah.
but we didn't know at that time that it would be the MS Gym originally. He had an idea, he had a vision, and he had
Yeah.
content. So when I first met him, the first conversation, I knew I had seen some of his content. I knew right away. I'm like, this guy knows his stuff. Oh my God. Like, I have to help him with this.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Again, I was in a consultant role. I had no idea that my life would, take this new direction. There was no way to know that at the time. You don't know what's going to work, what's not.
Right.
It worked. I didn't know that he'd eventually want me as his business partner. Like, there was no way early on that I could have known that. I was just saw the need. I knew enough about MS that I just, again, seeing my dad struggles, it's not an exact apples to apples comparison, Parkinson's to MS, but I knew the struggles that the MS community went through, and I saw this huge gap. I'm like, this market is just not being served. It's just so underserved.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm just like, we have to help these people. Like, yes, like I bought in right away to Trevor's mission. I'm like, this could be huge. There are people needing your help and expertise, and right now you're limiting it to the whatever 15 clients you see a week or 20. And I said, and that's the power of the internet, is that we can be helping thousands and thousands of people. Eventually, maybe millions.
Right.
So right away we really, I clicked with Trevor on his mission and wanting to help and support him with that.
So one of the things that people can look forward to in 2021 is kind of this restructuring of how you offer up membership. As far as the content, what kind of new content can people look forward to?
So I'll talk about the membership content and then the free content.
Okay, cool.
So as far as the membership content, Trevor is actually enhancing every program that already exists. Okay, so like if you go and do Standing Strong again, which is one of our programs, just an example, it'll be a little bit of a different experience than maybe the first time you did it. Okay, or the second. We've had people repeat programs on the third.
So basically, he's fine-tuning what's pre-existing programs.
Yeah, well, based on this knowledge, he does this program called Z Health, which is the most cutting edge stuff. I mean, literally, you have people that learn this stuff so that they can, work with college Division I athletes or pro athletes to improve something like 1 tiny percent, because that could be the difference between helping that team win or lose, or getting, making it to the pros or not, or like they're taking it. He's the only one I know of who's taking this stuff and applying it to the MS community for exercise.
Right.
So he's taking the stuff and he's incorporating it into the programs. Okay. Some of the stuff a lot of people will already be familiar with because we've shared them, but they're its own separate thing right now. Like the iGym he came out with this year, the vagus nerve stuff, like a lot of really cool stuff. But he's going to take a lot of these cool concepts and actually incorporate it into these core programs so that people, to make it so that everyone is getting them, rather than thinking, I got to also do it as a separate, in addition to the program. So we'll be doing that. He's coming out with what we call BGB Bootcamp 2.0, which is BGB Bootcamp is kind of our foundational program. So,
and BGB, I think you need to clarify for anybody who doesn't know what BGB.
blades,
Butts, guts, and blades. That's right.
which is part of his Trevor's Rise system. And so we'll have a new 2.0 VGB boot camp, and he's adding some strength programs, which are going to be awesome. So there will be
Awesome.
more.
That's incredible. I look forward to seeing what those are.
Mm-hmm. And so those are some of the membership upgrades. As far as, just free stuff that we're doing for the community, one is this podcast, for example. We've changed the format. Okay, I think you and Jody give so much value. I think, so we have a great free podcast. We continue to put new content out on YouTube, which is better quality, higher quality. We've upgraded our technology, so the film quality is better, the audio sound is better, and Trevor, again, he's taking some of that new stuff that he's been learning, and he's offering a lot of that for free.
Right.
We're also on Instagram putting out more content now. We're putting short form and long form, so people can dive in and get a taste. We still put out a lot of content in our free Facebook group, but because it's hard to find it, we limit that a little more. We like to just get some fun engagement, keep it lighthearted. We do, so you see like these Tell Me Tuesdays and Fun Filled Friday. But, it is available on our Rise business page and our free Facebook group. So, and I'm sure we'll do other fun projects like, they're on our agenda. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they are because I don't want to make a promise that I can't.
Right. Not a problem.
Like even the summit this year, it was kind of impromptu. It was like, okay,
right,
we can't do an in-person summit. Let's come up with a new idea. So
right,
we have ideas, other free ideas that we're going to be giving value to the community that fall in line with things like we did with the virtual summit. So other experts, and also we're partnering with some nonprofits. Now, again, I'm not going to mention the names yet because until the deal is official.
Right.
But
that's exciting.
Yes, because they have their own audiences.
Yeah.
And if they can introduce, a lot of them have reached out and said, we really believe in the power of exercise, and it's part of our, mission as a nonprofit. They want to make sure they're giving their people the best cutting edge information and programs. So that's something that in process. So a lot of cool stuff that people can look forward to.
That's really cool. I have a kind of a random question. What part of the MS Gym membership do you get the most positive feedback about? Like, what do you get the most messages that say, oh my gosh, this is the most fantastic, like, is there one kind of like theme, is it, whether it's one of the movement programs or just the community side of it, the camaraderie between, like, what's the number one positive feedback category that?
Well, it's kind of a tie. Is it okay if I say two?
Yeah. Break all the rules, Ken.
Well, I really think these two are equal. If I looked at my thousands of emails over the last 3 years, it would fall almost 50-50 or 48-52. It'd be really close.
Yeah.
So one is the physical victories, but a very specific kind, okay? And so it's not just, I had this problem with my foot, and now that's big, and I get a lot. We see a lot of that. It's more tied to, and now I can do X because of it. Okay, right. So I got to enjoy my grandson's it could have been grandson's activity. We have a lot of people with grandchildren, right?
Yeah.
I was able to enjoy that time with my grandchild because of it.
Yeah.
I was able to enjoy my son's wedding in a way I didn't think I'd be able to. I was able to be on the dance floor longer than I thought.
Or travel.
I was able to make that trip that I never thought I'd be able to again.
Yes.
It's going to be different for everyone. Or I went on a hike. It's totally different for everybody. But so it's kind of a fill in the blank, but that is it. That, to me, it's when they tie the physical victories with something in their life that has that, intrinsic value that you can't put a price on. That's priceless.
Right. Right.
Uh, a lot of these milestones, and it's different, especially as you get older in life, as you know, because we have a lot of people in their 50s and 60s, okay? Some even in their 70s, okay?
Yeah.
And like, I know this from talking with my parents, and I'm even seeing it as a parent myself now. We take a lot of joy, because let's face it, most of our health eventually declines. Whether you get
Right.
MS,
I mean, it's just the way it
I
goes.
don't have MS, but I got plenty of other shit.
Yes.
We take pleasure in some of the small things, like seeing, like I was touching upon, looking forward, seeing our grandkids grow up,
Yes.
seeing your child grow up. For me, it's my son right now. Those things take on a lot more meaning than when you're in your 20s and you're more self-centered, right? More
Yes.
about you.
So
What am
it's
I
not
going to do?
about you anymore.
Right. So those things are super important, and that's seeing those things are huge. And again, I mentioned that segment of the population, but it's really important also for the people in their 30s and 40s who, again, either want to have a family or just start a family, and MS is affecting them. Like,
Right.
like we've told Melissa, you had Melissa Hayes on the podcast, right? Like, that's a perfect example of someone who didn't think she could be a mother the way she wanted to be a mother.
Yeah.
And now she is.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, gaining independence or retaining your independence is a huge goal also. And there's a lot within the MS gym that can contribute to somebody retaining their independence.
So that absolutely. So that's number one. That's one. And 1A, again, tied, it's virtual, pretty much tied, is the community, the friendships that have formed.
Yes.
Amazing relationships.
Yes.
We have people right now, as we speak, probably doing a buddy group call, Zooming with each other.
Yeah.
And the friendships that have come out of it, the connection. MS can be so isolating.
Yep.
And I just think there's something special about our community. And I know there's other Facebook groups out there for MS, but there's something.
Well, I'm in some of them, and trust me, they're not the same. They're not the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to say this in a way where I'm not putting down other groups.
No, the MS gym community is not volatile. It is not, because it's very easy. You get on these other MS groups, whether it's Facebook or anywhere online, and a lot of times they use it as an opportunity to just rant, and it is not like that within the MS gym at all. It's supportive. Everything is reined in, but you can share whatever you want to share, but it's just not that kind of volatile whirlwind kind of tornado energy that comes off of some of these groups that ultimately end up being very negative experience. The MS Gym community is uplifting, supportive, the shoulder you need to cry on, the hand you need to have held. That's the kind of stuff that goes on, and everybody willing to jump in and help. Well, try this or try that, or it's incredible.
Yeah, so the support and the friendships that have formed,
and it's global. That's something
global.
else. This is those buddy groups you're talking about.
We're in over 35 countries.
Yeah, I mean, one of your buddy groups could have somebody from the state of Washington and London, England in it. And everywhere in between.
Yeah.
So geography does not have to get in the way of community.
No, which is great, especially now, because most people, we're all pretty much stuck in one.
Right. Nobody's traveling.
So that's huge. Like I said, people, I know that some of these relationships will be lifelong friendships.
Absolutely.
And this can be very isolating. I think everything's isolating right now. I think a lot of people are isolated. That's a whole separate conversation. But certainly, MS in itself can cause isolation. And I just think, again, I've got a lot of, it's given me hope and connection to others.
Yes.
Get it. They get me. They get it. And, that's big. So those two things are the biggest things that.
Cool. All right, I have one last question.
Sure.
Where do you see the MS Gym 5 years from today?
Wow, that's a toughie. Just because.
Ooh, I stumped Ken. Woohoo!
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess why I struggle to answer that question a little bit is because the, Trevor and I have such big ideas going forward for what we want to create.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, well, it's okay, but it, we have to balance that with not burning ourselves out,
Yeah.
managing ourselves. It's really important that we manage ourselves. You know how hard we've worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into this, and still does every day. I can't. The amount of hours that goes into creating everything and doing everything and running a business. It's so we have to kind of mesh the big goals that we have for where the MS Gym is going and serving our community with really still having a life for ourselves.
Being realistic about your energy,
Right. I mean, Trevor still has 3 young girls.
Yeah.
I have a family. We just want to make sure that we take care of each other and we don't. And Trevor can be a total workaholic, so I got to make sure he's not burn out.
Yeah.
So it's finding those goals that are worth pursuing. What realistically,
What can we do without killing ourselves in the process?
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, where I see it is, I just see the programs continuing to improve. So the membership's still going to be thriving as the hub, but we're going to have more of these other things, like I started to share with you about more one-time products, more events,
right?
And eventually, this will be past this pandemic. I really envision some form of in-person events. Okay.
Yes.
I also see regional events. Okay. It could be regional as in Northeast meetup.
Right.
It could be the Florida. I can meet up with my Florida MSGen peeps here.
Right.
Or it could be a London meetup, right? I mean, it could be the Australian meetup. It's going to vary, but I eventually see, again, it's going to take a little time because the world's just been crazy right now. But I eventually see that a lot of again, when it comes to the community, I see events where people are taking these online relationships and connecting in person.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to do with the summit, but it didn't happen this year. And the big ones that we'll have where people could come, put on a great event. Trevor will do great presentation, movement stuff. He'll get his eyes on everyone in person, and we'll have maybe a couple of cool guest speakers, and just really have fun and gather. And so we even have an idea for like retreats. Like going to like a really cool place. Now that would be, meeting up like I don't know in the Bahamas or somewhere for like a week and.
Yay!
Yeah, so we have again.
Update your passports, people.
It's going to take time to implement all these ideas, but those are some of the things that we'd like to do while still staying focused on making sure, again, that community is taken care of. They're getting the exercise programs that they need. They're getting the customer support that they need.
Yeah.
And so doing it in a way where we don't lose focus of our everyday activities, because that's the bread and butter. Like again, it's so important to stay focused on what not only what you're good at, what you created, but if you get too distracted and shiny object syndrome, let's call it, right, and we're too focused on other stuff, that other stuff I will not let happen at the expense of giving a good membership experience. I really believe the reason we're successful is because the relationships and that Trevor pours into people. He's not one of these people like you just join, like, and I know, Brooke, you've been part of different communities, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times, and Trevor has a very specific area of expertise, okay? A lot of people, and you've seen this in the entrepreneurship space, right? Someone has a specific area of expertise, and you join their program, which is a lot more money than we charge, trust me.
Yeah.
And you don't get their time. You don't really get any of their time.
No.
Like, you know, the only way is like, all right, you want my one-on-one time? That's another that's $10,000. You know, like,
yeah.
Trevor, he is in there almost every single day.
Yeah.
Like, if he's not he's answering questions between the office hours and just goes through the posts. I mean, people who post, and they are getting great support from other members.
Yeah.
They're getting support from people like Karen and our team, which are too many. I'll leave people out, so I'm not going to mention.
Yeah.
So many amazing people on our team. But you're also getting Trevor in there. So
he's like a doctor doing rounds all the time, you know?
Right.
He's
right.
Every day he's doing rounds.
And I don't want to ever get so big that we get away from that. I think that's the foundation of what we do. So that's sort of, that's the 5-year plan.
Cool. Well, Ken, I cannot thank you enough for coming on today and explaining to us and explaining to everybody listening exactly what the MS Gym is, the difference between the free content and the paid for content, what we have to look forward to, how things work now, what you'd like to see in the near future and the more distant future, just to give us kind of an update before the new year so we can start the new year out fresh and look forward to everything that you guys will continue to provide and the quality that you can do in the community, not just the movement plans, but the community. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. I know, like you said, this may air right around Christmas time. So we all need a fresh start from 2020. So.
Oh, please, can we?
Start your exercise program.
If you've been sitting back waiting, now's your chance.
Yeah, we all need a fresh start. So thank you, Brooke. I appreciate this. This has been fun.
Awesome, and we'll see you in 2021. For more information on the MS Gym, check them out at themsgym.com, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If you'd like to know what I've been up to lately, you can find me at brookslick.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of the MS Gym Podcast.